welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing Grayson's 10-month update. Before I get started, I do want to talk a little bit about why I have been gone for over a month. The last video was his 9-month update and I had so many plans for doing more videos. And then life happened and it was just like one thing after the other. So I'll just quickly tell you about that. So first, my computer was having a lot of issues and so I ordered a new one and it took a while to arrive. It was a couple weeks late, so I was waiting for that. And then my sister ended up staying with us because my family took my other sister to school several states away. So my younger sister ended up staying here for 2 weeks and that was so much fun, but a lot of chaos because she plays multiple sports and she had started school, and so we had to do everything with like back to school shopping, registration, all the things, and then that also included her first, second, and third day of school, so it was a lot. And then last week we had a really scary experience with my grandma. She was hospitalized because she started having some health issues, and I won't go into that, but basically she was hospitalized, and last Monday we had no idea what was going on. We thought we might lose her, and it was a really traumatic week, and it was just not a good week, and so I just didn't have it in me to record. So it was just one thing after the other, and I'm happy to update that my grandma did get to go home last night. So she got discharged and she's at home, and we'll go see her later today. But that is everything that has been going on. There's just been so much, and honestly, like, I love YouTube. I love recording videos and doing this, but sometimes you just kind of have to know when it's not time, when you need to take time to focus on yourself, or family's a priority, and so you kind of have to shift your priorities a little bit. But I am super excited to be doing Grayson's 10-month update. He turned 10 months old on the 17th of this month, so a couple days late, but nonetheless, I am very excited to tell you guys how he's doing now. So what I like to do when I'm doing Grayson's updates is go category by category. Sometimes there's a ton of categories, and sometimes there's only a few, like today. So the 3 categories I have today are milestones and fun updates, so that's kind of like intermixed. And then I have food, because that's something everyone's always curious about, how much he's eating, what he's eating, etc. And then I also have doc band updates because he is in his doc band still, and I will update you guys on how treatment's going and what's going on with that. So let's get started. So at the beginning of last month, I noticed that Grayson is really doing well with his pincher grasp. He is actually able to like pick up his food with his index finger and his thumb, whereas before he would grab it with his full hand in the palm of his hand and just grasp it, and he was having trouble eating because obviously it's inside his folded up hand and he can't access the food. But I noticed, like, I think it was the end of July, I noticed him pick up a puff with his index finger and his thumb with his pincher grasp and just eat it. And I was like, Kevin, he's doing it. But also it made me almost cry because I was like, he's just growing up so fast, and he's doing all these new things. And so to see him do that, it was like really exciting as his mom to watch that. But it's also one of those like bittersweet moments where you're like, wait, he's not so much a baby anymore. He's turning more into a little boy. He has 4 teeth. Well, we'll say like 3.5, because this top tooth up here, it's coming out. It's actually like fully out. It's just got to work its way down a little bit, but he has 4 teeth, and yesterday was the first time I experienced being bitten by those 4 teeth. So, after he's done eating, I like to check his mouth and make sure there's not anything hiding in there, any choking hazards or anything. And I was doing that as I normally do. And normally, gum chomped out. His gums chomped down on me. No, yesterday it was his teeth. So that really hurt, and they don't know to release when they're biting down. So he was biting so hard and I was like, oh, like so much pain. But I probably am going to have to find a better way to check if there's food in his mouth from now on so I don't get bit. I also know I brush his teeth, and I was using a little finger toothbrush to brush his teeth. don't do that anymore, because once he started getting teeth on both rows of his mouth, I was like, nope, mama's gonna get bit. And I sure did. So it was only by the tooth on the bottom, or the teeth on the bottom, but still it hurts. So now he uses the little banana toothbrush, because it is not worth me risking losing my finger to brush his teeth. Grayson is also getting so close to crawling, and I feel like I keep saying that. I kind of feel like I'm honestly a broken record when I talk about him being close to crawling. You guys, he really is. Yesterday, he was pushing himself up in a plank position and holding himself up. So like, he's really figuring out the motions and everything. He's just got to get them all put together and he'll do it. So right now he's like super fast with rolling. We'll lay him on his back and he's like, shoom, 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 shoom. You know, he's gone. And he will also scoot around on his belly. So he just doesn't know to pull his knees in and his belly off the ground yet. He's really close though. And there are instances where he'll like get in the crawling position and then he'll, you know, go back down. So he's so close. He's working on it. And yes, he is 10 months old. So he's like maybe a little bit behind, but I don't really think he's behind, because, you know, babies do things at all different rates. He does some things faster and he's just doing some things slower, but every baby's different. So whether your baby was crawling way sooner or is still not crawling, you know, it's totally okay. Every baby goes at their own pace. Whenever it gets concerning is like if the doctor is concerned because maybe there's something going on that's preventing them from crawling or preventing them from sitting up. And that's when you can talk to your baby's pediatrician about it, you know, if you're concerned. But honestly, Grayson is doing so well with everything else. I just think that he wants to take his time with crawling, and we are just gonna let him take his time. And we do work with him every day, but you know, he'll do it when he's ready. Just like he rolled when he was ready, he sat up when he was ready, you know, all those things. He'll crawl when he's ready. And oh my gosh, he is loving cars right now. So we have this little red car. It came with like a little plastic Mickey Mouse figurine in it that my sister got him, and he is obsessed with the car. We don't give him Mickey Mouse because it's a choking hazard, but the little red car is his favorite. He loves cars, so I think we know what we need to get him for his first birthday. I'm obsessed with watching him play with this little car because he thinks it's so funny when it rolls. He thinks it's funny when it like does a little jump onto the rug. He's just a little boy, you know, like he's a typical little boy who just loves to make noise and throw things, and he loves to watch cars roll back and forth, and he like really likes to watch the car when it like flips. So I think when he's bigger, and obviously they're not a choking hazard, Hot Wheels will definitely be in his future. Grayson is also really starting to look like his dada. He has always looked like me, and a lot of people when they first saw him when he was born were like, oh my gosh, he's all you. But now, you know, he's getting a little bit older and he's starting to get some facial features that are resembling his dad. And I love that because I always thought, you know, he's gonna be his dada's mini me. And I love that he looks like me, but honestly, I'm not too like concerned with that. I would be happy either way. So I think it would be really, really sweet if he started to look more like Kevin as he gets a little bit older, because Kevin was just the cutest little boy ever. And I just die. I'm like, he was so stinking cute, and Grayson is just so adorable. So to see him kind of look like his daddy did when he was little will just literally like make my heart explode. But I will actually insert a picture here of Grayson that I took the other night where he like totally looked like his dada. Grayson is also giving kisses and hugs now, and it's just so sweet, and he's just so loving. Now don't get me wrong, like he'll be sweet and loving and gentle, and then he'll try to rip your face off. So you can't get too comfortable because you might end up with your hair being pulled or your face being tugged on, but he does. He has his moments where he'll cuddle up on you, or he'll lean in and give you a little open mouth kiss or a hug. He does these little side hugs, and it's just so stinking sweet. He is also able to hold his bottle and feed himself. Like, don't get me wrong though, there's times where the bottle will fall a little bit and I'll have to just like adjust it for him, but he is doing really well with feeding himself his bottle, so that kind of makes my job a little bit easier. And again, it's one of those milestones that you're like so happy about, but it's also bittersweet because you're like, my baby, he can do this on his own, you know? He doesn't need his mama to give him a bottle. But he still kind of does, because you know, when it falls, you got to make sure he's getting the perfect angle. But still, it's an exciting, bittersweet moment for sure. Probably the biggest update is that he is no longer using a pacifier during the day. So anytime he's awake, that pacifier is nowhere near him. In fact, whenever we take him out of his crib in the morning or get him out of his crib at nap time, we do not let the pacifier leave the room. It stays on his little side table by his bed, or it stays in his bed. The pacifier does not leave his room. And I'm actually going to be filming a video on this whenever he's fully weaned from his pacifier, talking about how we did it, when we decided to do it, why we decided to do it so soon. And that will be up obviously a little bit further down the road because he is still using it during nap time and bedtime. So he's not fully weaned yet, but when he is, I will do that video for you guys. We do brush his teeth every single night now, and I want to start doing it in the morning because I think it's important that he brushes twice a day, just like adults. I brush his teeth with fluoride toothpaste, which actually is something that my son's pediatrician said is a recent update in research. So they used to say, don't give fluoride toothpaste to your baby because if they swallow it, it's not good for them. But now they're saying you can because fluoride's actually good for them. Research has changed. So we got him fluoride toothpaste, and it's really funny. Not that this matters, but it's really funny because the kind I picked out or added to the little list that Kevin uses when he grocery shops is a unicorn sparkle toothpaste because that was just the one that was safe for kids. It was had certain ingredients that they recommend you don't give to your baby. They weren't in there, so I just opted for that, thinking Kevin would like look and find, you know, whichever one was there. But he's really good with grocery shopping and he gets what's on the list. So he got the pink or the unicorn sparkle toothpaste. It's really cute actually, and that's what Grayson uses. But they also recommend when you are brushing your baby's teeth, you don't give them any toothpaste more than the size of a grain of rice because again, it does have fluoride in it, and it's important that they do not swallow too much of that toothpaste because babies don't know not to swallow the toothpaste. So if it's the size of a grain of rice, you know, you won't have any issues. And that is another important detail to remember when brushing your baby's teeth with toothpaste that has fluoride in it. That's what his pediatrician told us too. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was brushing his teeth with one of those finger toothbrushes, but I had to stop doing that when he started getting more teeth because I would have lost my finger at this point. Prior to when he had teeth, the way we would clean his gums at night is with a soft washcloth. We would just wrap it around our finger and rub it over his gums and all over his mouth to clean, you know, the bacteria and whatever was left in his mouth from his bottles or food and everything. So moving on to food and eating. We are doing baby-led weaning, but I do want to say that I do sometimes feed him. You know, he doesn't always feed himself because there are times where he will just throw his spoon down to the dog or he will fling it everywhere. And I know that's totally part of it, but you know, sometimes I'm like, I'll just feed him. It'll be faster, you know, whatever. However, I do also know that he's able to feed himself. So because I know he's able to feed himself, I don't feel worried about me feeding him affecting his ability to be able to feed himself in the future. He's able to spoon his food, like pick up food on his spoon and put it into his mouth. He's able to pick up his food with using his pincher grasp and feed it to himself. So he is fully capable of doing that. But I do want to say, you know, we're doing baby-led weaning, but maybe a little bit more modified because there are times where I do feed him myself. In regards to how much formula he's drinking, he's currently drinking around 20 ounces a day. So he drinks about 4 ounces every 3 or 4 hours. But again, I'm thinking it's time to cut back on that because he will leave an ounce or so in the bottle, not every time. So I'm not ready to fully cut back from 4 ounces every few hours, but you know, it's one of those things that you notice first when they're ready to drink less formula during the day. And he is getting 3 meals and snacks in between. Sometimes he gets snacks. So I know he's getting nutrients that he needs, and I know he pretty much cleans his plate. There'll be some left in his bib, a little bit in his bib, but he really does eat a lot of food. So with that in mind, I know that I can't be giving him way too much formula. That's too much for him to eat. So I will be having to cut back again on formula pretty soon here. Makes me sad to think that, you know, probably before he turns 1 or around the time he turns 1, we'll probably be done with formula and introduce him to other milk. It also will be a little bit nice because formula can be expensive. So no complaints there, but yeah, I know that pretty soon here it's going to be time to go down to 3 ounces every few hours rather than 4, just like when I noticed it was time to go down to 4 ounces. So I'm just going to be keeping an eye out for that, and I will update you guys, I'm sure, in a future vlog to let you know when I officially do cut him down to 3 ounces. Every baby's different, so just because he's 10 months old and he's going to be cut back to 3 ounces doesn't mean your baby will be at that, because maybe your baby doesn't eat as much, or you know, every baby is different. So it just depends on your baby and their needs. So off the top of my head, the meal that he has for breakfast often is almond butter toast. I just cut them into little sticks with almond butter, and then he'll have Greek yogurt or applesauce on the side, and then he'll have a fruit like maybe blueberries, grapes. He'll have bell peppers sometimes. It just depends on what we have. Banana. It's just whatever we have for him at the time. And when I do grapes, I cut them into fourths because I get so worried about him choking on grapes. So worried. And it is a big choking hazard. So I cut them into fourths. I cut them very small. And with the blueberries, I tear them up, so they are not a choking hazard either. And with his bananas, I will cut them small. You know, I cut them, you know, I cut slices of banana and then I'll cut it into fourths. So that's what I do with his bananas. Or I will give it to him like a popsicle. You know, you've seen me do that in vlogs where I cut the banana into thirds and then I cut the peel around the top, and then he can eat it like a popsicle and then just peel it back as he's eating it. I did not come up with that. I wish I did, because it's genius, but I just saw it on several other mom bloggers channels and Pinterest, so that's why I did it. And then for lunch, he'll either have shredded chicken or meatballs, or we got gluten-free chicken nuggets, and then he'll have a vegetable like carrots or bell pepper. He loves bell pepper. Or Brussels sprouts is a good one. Green beans. And then with that, he'll have applesauce, or sometimes I won't do kind of like a liquidy side. I'll do mozzarella, and I'll get like cheese sticks and just break them into pieces. So I'll just like pull a chunk off and then just, you know, break it up into pieces. Or he'll have shredded cheese or whatever we have that day. So that's like a lunch option. And then dinner, to confess, he still has oatmeal at dinner time. I know that pretty soon here we need to be incorporating a different meal, because oatmeal is not really a full meal for him when he gets a little bit bigger. But for now, we are just sticking with the oatmeal for that third meal, and maybe snacks in between. Like, he loves the Happy Baby teething crackers. He loves puffs. He loves the little fruit and veggie melts by Gerber. So we have those as snack options, or even just like a bell pepper. Really, we're flexible with his meals. We're not very rigid, but we do like to make sure we have fruits and vegetables for him. Greek yogurt at all times. We do the whole fat Greek yogurt plain, so it's healthier. Applesauce, we do sugar-free applesauce. He also does love black beans. You know, he's really not picky. So those are just some examples of foods that we'll do. But like I said, we are still only doing oatmeal for that third meal. So I know pretty soon here, probably within the next month, we'll need to be incorporating like a full meal like we do for breakfast and lunch for dinner time. So again, that's more thinking about planning, meal planning and everything. But let me know in the comments below when the best time is to stop doing oatmeal for your baby. That's also something I should research, because I want to make sure that we don't take it away too soon, because I know there are things that are good in oatmeal for them, but at the same time, I know there's a certain point where you don't give them oatmeal for a meal anymore. So let me know in the comments below when you stopped giving your baby oatmeal or barley or whatever you gave them. And yeah, I'm just curious to see your responses. Grayson is obsessed with drinking water. We do give him water in his tiny cup most of the time, but you know, I have to be honest. They say if your baby's head is straight and you just tilt it back, the way that it tilts back and the way the cup is created, it's supposedly supposed to prevent them from choking, but Grayson still chokes. So that makes me wonder if I need to try something else. Kevin did just pick up a straw cup from Target today. It's just one of those Munchkin straw cups. I'm sure you've seen it. Has handles on the side, and it has a weight in the bottom attached to the straw, so the straw doesn't move around, and he'll be able to tilt it at any angle and get something to drink. So I'm gonna try that with him. I'm gonna wash that and use it at lunchtime today, and we will see. He has used other sippy cups, like the other Munchkin, just a regular sippy cup. He doesn't really like it that much. He doesn't know how to get stuff out of it. So we just have to find the sippy cup that's right for him. But like when we're in the car and he's drinking water, I can't bring an open cup, you know. I have to find a sippy cup that works for him, that doesn't spill, because when we're traveling, like in the car, or we're at a place where I don't want to just have an open cup of water, you know, I need to make sure that I can have that. So that's why we're trying this new straw cup from Munchkin. I'll let you guys know how he does with it. He is able to feed himself. He does really well with feeding himself. I'm so proud of him. He's able to spoon whatever is on his plate onto his spoon and put it in his mouth by himself. He's able to pick up his food with his pincher grasp and eat it, and he does really well with eating. So we're very proud of him for that. Now we are working on being able to give himself drinks by himself, like water or formula, except he is able to give himself a bottle when he's like laying down. It's just figuring out that right angle. He still has to learn, but I know that might take some time. And then also when he has water during meals, you know, I want him to be able to be independent and hold his cup and drink out of it himself, and I don't have to help him with that. So that's the next thing we're gonna work on. I missed a category when I was naming categories I'm going through, so I forgot. I'm doing a growth update. As far as growth goes, Grayson is over 24 pounds. That's kind of an estimation because he was like 23 pounds at his last appointment, and he was over 23 pounds. So that makes me think he's probably 24 pounds now. He's very quickly outgrowing 9-month clothing. He's actually in 12-month clothing most of the time now. And I have to go through his dresser and reorganize and put stuff away that doesn't fit, because there are 6-month clothing and pajamas and stuff in there that he does not fit and will not ever fit into again. So I have to go through and do that. And I'm planning on doing another video of reorganizing his nursery. Lots of video plans, but just have to take the time to do everything for them. He is outgrowing 9-month clothing very, very quickly. His 9-month shorts are so tight on him. Got a little bubble butt. And so anytime he's in his 9-month shorts, they're just so tight on him. His 12-month clothing fits, but I would say it's like, doesn't really have much room to grow. So because he is outgrowing his 12-month clothing, it makes me worried that I'm gonna have to buy him 18-month clothing before fall and winter come. And you guys, I don't wanna buy 18-month summer clothes if I can help it. I am seriously holding off on buying him clothes for fall and winter because I don't know what size he's gonna be and I don't want to waste money. So we're kind of in this point of like awkward sizing where he is 12 months and he's just barely 12 months. You know, he's like in 12-month clothing, but he's not exactly gonna have a ton of time left in 12-month clothing. But it is the end of August, it's almost September, so I'm hoping I will be able to get away with keeping him in 12-month clothing for summer. And then when I buy fall and winter clothes, I'll go with 18 months and up. In fact, he's gonna have very little when it comes to 18-month clothing. He has like nothing for that. So he's gonna need like a complete wardrobe for fall and winter. That's gonna be interesting. And when I go ahead and clean out his drawers and reorganize his nursery, he's gonna have such a small amount of clothes for a while. So that's gonna be really interesting too. And now moving on to dock band updates. Grayson is still in his dock band. He will probably be in his dock band, gosh, I don't know, at least 8 more weeks, probably more, because he was a very severe case of plagiocephaly. And so it's taking a lot more time than it would with a moderate case or a mild case to shift and, you know, go back to where it needs to be or go to where it needs to be. But as far as things moving goes, his ears were having some issues for a while with shifting back to where they need to be. That right ear was kind of being stubborn and didn't want to move. But we were very happy to discover at his last appointment, not this week, but last week, that his ear actually is almost completely where it needs to be now. So they were pleased because they said normally the ears are the most stubborn when it comes to parts shifting to where they need to be, and they usually are the last to do it. So the fact that his ears already shifted is very exciting news, very encouraging. The back of his head is doing so much better. He is honestly just really needing to have his forehead go forward a little bit more on that one side, and his flat spot on his head is still there. So it's not as severe as it was. It's definitely not as severe as it was, but it was probably the worst part. You know, that's the main part of plagiocephaly. So that flat spot is plagiocephaly. Because it was so severe, it's going to take some time to shift it and mold it to the place that it has to be. So with that being said, we still aren't sure when his doc band treatment will be done. We're not trying to rush it though, because as much as I can't wait for him to be done with it and not have to be sweating in his doc band, I also know that this is the best possible thing for him, and they know exactly what they're doing at Cranial Technologies. I trust their process, and maybe he's gonna have to have this for his first birthday and Halloween, but we are just gonna roll with it because honestly, like, we're just thankful that it's happening. We're thankful that he's receiving this treatment that he needs, and we are very, very happy because we know it's gonna benefit him later down the road in life. He's not gonna have issues from what he would have had if he didn't receive this treatment. And we do have an appointment coming up this week, so we go back on Thursday to see actually more in depth how things are going. We actually had to get him an entirely new doc band because he outgrew his other doc band. So yeah, I believe I filmed a whole video update on this, but he literally outgrew the other band. And he has grown like really rapidly. He went from being below the curve and not even being on the curve for height and weight to being very, very, very high up on the curve for weight and kind of in the 10th or 11th percentile for height. So this boy has grown rapidly in the past 7 months or so, which means his head's growing too. Everything's growing. So that is why they had to get him a completely new band. But I really don't think that slowed down treatment or anything. It might have by like a week, but we're just relieved that his band fits him better now, and he honestly has no issues wearing his band, you guys. Like, he has never been bothered by it. He's not really bothered by anything. He's a very chill baby. So he goes with the flow. And when we started doc band treatment, we were so worried it was gonna affect sleep and being in the car and everything. No, he just rolled with it. In fact, I think he was actually sad when we had that week where he didn't have his doc band because he missed it. He was used to it. So it's gonna be interesting when treatment's over to see if he actually misses the band. And that's why it's really not that big of a deal to us if we do have to prolong treatment, if we do have to have him in that band for longer than we originally planned, because he does handle it really well. And we are very thankful for that because we know that is not the case with all babies. We are noticing tremendous differences since beginning doc band treatment with Grayson, and so are our friends and family, and so is his doctor and everyone at Cranial Technologies. And we are honestly just so thankful that we did proceed with treatment. We will never regret this decision. I can honestly say, like, we haven't even finished treatment, and if any of our kids in the future have plagiocephaly, we know exactly what to do, exactly where to go, and we know it's gonna be okay, and that the outcome is going to be well worth the process that it takes to get there. And insurance did cover it because Grayson's case was severe. So that was a really unexpected, pleasant surprise for us. Insurance normally totally fights these bands, and the fact that they covered it was very encouraging, but also was further proof that Grayson definitely needed this treatment, because even insurance, our insurance company was like, oh no, this baby definitely needs this treatment, we're going to cover it. And I have said this in previous videos about his doc band, but I will just reiterate that if we didn't get this treatment, he would have potentially had issues with alignment of his ears later in life, as far as wearing helmets goes for sports, as far as eardrum issues, his ears not being aligned, that could cause issues there. It would cause issues with his sinuses because everything won't be lined up the way it needs to be, and I have sinus issues, so I don't want to increase the chances that he has sinus issues by not getting this fixed now, as well as jaw alignment issues. It could cause jaw alignment issues for him. And you may not know this, I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but when I was younger, I had an underbite. It was pretty severe, and I also had like a crossbite, and it was severe enough to the point where I needed corrective surgery for it. So I did have upper jaw surgery. This is not the way my jaw always used to be. Growing up, I always had an underbite, and when I was just graduated from high school, I had to get surgery for it, and braces and then surgery for it. So yeah, senior year, I literally had to get braces. So that was fun, but I wouldn't change a thing. I'm so thankful I did that treatment and got that surgery. But with that being said, I don't want to increase the chances for Grayson needing that oral surgery, or not oral surgery, but that maxillofacial, it's a term I cannot think of, but that surgery I had was like a very crazy surgery. A lot of recovery, a long recovery. It was painful. There was so much bruising and swelling and so much that went on with that, and I do not wish that on my kids. So if we can prevent that from being needed in the future, we will do whatever we can to do that. So those are just some of the examples of things that can happen if we don't get him treated for his plagiocephaly right now. That is everything I have for Grayson's 10-month update. That little boy is growing faster than I can handle. He actually says dada. I think I forgot to mention that. That's super important. He says dada now, and he's just getting closer to crawling, and he's able to sit up on his own and feed himself and give himself a bottle. And he's just doing so many new things that I am so happy about, but also, like, again, I mentioned it's bittersweet as his mom to watch all these things, because it just makes me see how quickly he's growing and how fast it's going to go by. So I'm trying to soak up every minute with him. I can't believe that I need to start planning his first birthday like now, because that's also going to be here in the blink of an eye. But I love him so much, and even though I do miss him being a teeny tiny baby, I would be lying if I said I didn't love the stage he's in right now, because he's laughing and he's smiling and he's shaking his head no, and he's sticking his tongue out. He just discovered his tongue. So he's just doing so many things that we are just having so much fun with. But I really hope you guys enjoyed watching Grayson's 10-month update. And if you did enjoy watching, I would seriously appreciate if you left a like and a comment down below. And to see more videos like this one related to motherhood, be sure to subscribe. See you in the next video. Even if the sky is falling down.